there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaded Path. Today I want to show you how to make the halo pendant. Now first and foremost, I will tell you this is a more advanced pendant, okay? So I would not start off with this if you're a beginner. I would go back to something else in the halo series. But again, if you're a beginner, do not start off with this project because you might lose your patience with it. Today, what you're going to need for your project is you're going to need one 14mm Rivoli. This is going to be for the center of our pendant. You're going to need 9 3.9mm Montes. You can use 3.2s, but I do recommend 3.9s. You're going to need 38 3mm Bicones. 32 4mm round beads. Now these can be pearls, they can be faceted rounds, gemstones, whatever you want. You're also going to need 8 6mm round beads and then 16 8mm round beads. I'll also be using a size 11 seed bead. You can also use size 15 seed beads. They are optional for this project, and I will let you know where they are actually optional at in the piece. So I want to tell you a little bit about the design as far as how you do it, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. In the original design for the halo, I had a black and silver, like black and white version, and I had a brown, a dark brown and a light brown version in our kits the last couple of weeks, and that's what I've been doing in the videos. The black and silver is made with faceted round beads. When making this pendant, this is my favorite one to use, is to use a faceted round bead. And it's mainly because instead of being straight and then like this, you get a nice little curve of the pendant. When you use solid round beads, non-faceted, like a pearl or a gemstone, you're going to get a straight up and then straight across type look. It doesn't look bad whatsoever, especially from the front. It doesn't look bad. But I just really like the way the faceted beads lay a little bit better for this pendant. Now, you may think completely opposite, and that's fine. But I will show you the difference in the two as soon as we get started, so you'll kind of know. But I'm going to go ahead and get my mat set up, and then we'll get started. Here are the samples of the pendant that I'm going to be showing you how to make today. This pendant here is made with the faceted rounds, and then this one is made with the pearls. If I hold it from the side, you see how you kind of get that nice dome effect. Whereas here with the pearls, it's almost like straight up, across, and then straight down. And it's just that the pearls pull it closer together, whereas the round beads, the faceted rounds, kind of let it spread out more. But like I said, you can use either one, whatever you want. Today I'm actually, for the video, I'm going to be making this for somebody for Christmas. So I'm going to be doing a turquoise color because this person really likes turquoise. I'm going to get started, and I'm going to pick up one seed bead and one bicone 8 times. And now this is my 3mm. Right now I'm using the size 11 seed beads. When I get to the point where you can use the 3mm or the size 15 seed beads, I will let you know. So you have 8 3mm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you have 8 size 11 seed beads. You let these drop down. Leave yourself just a very short tail, and then you're going to take your needle and go back up through all of those beads again. And pull that needle. And now tie these two threads together. I'm going to take the needle, and I'm going to go through the 4mm right next to the knot. I've started off with 3 yards of thread onto my needle, and that should do your whole pendant. So to get started now, this is going to be the center front ring. I'm going to pick up 3 of my 4mm rounds, and I'm going to come back through that same 3mm to make a circle. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come down through the 4mm right below where the thread is exiting. Pick up 2 4mm. Come to the next 3mm here in your inner circle, and you're going to go back through that bead so that your needle is pointing back towards the beadwork. Come down through the 4mm right here where your thread's coming out, through the 2 new 4mm that you just added, and then through the next 3mm in your circle. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that short tail so it's out of my way. Pick up 2 4mm. I want to make a circle here, so I'm going to come up through the little side bead of my previous box. You want to continue on through the 3mm you were just coming out of, and then through the first 4mm that you just added. So I'm going to go through the 3, and then the 4. Pick up 2 4mm, come to the next 3mm in the circle, and come back through it, going back towards the beadwork you've already finished. You're going to come down through the 4mm right here where your thread's exiting, through the 2 new 4mm that you just added, and then through the next 3mm in the circle. You'll notice you're not going through any of the 11s in that center circle. You're only going through the 3mm. Pick up 2 4mm. I want to make that circle, so I'm going to come back up through the side 4mm of my last box. I'm going to go through the 3mm and then through the first 4mm that I added. Thread on 2 4mm. Come to the next 3mm in the circle, and you're going to come back through it, going back towards your beadwork. And if you've kind of caught on, you understand and you see that every other box is the same. You're just switching every other box. So I went down through my 3mm or my 4mm here. I'm going through the 2 4mm I just added, and then through the 3mm, the next 3mm in the circle. Thread on 2 4mm, I want to make that circle, so I'm going to come right back up through the side 4mm, then through the 3mm and the next 4mm. At this point, your beadwork should not be flat. Your beadwork should be starting to have a dome shape to it. Don't press it flat. You want it to have that dome shape. So we've only got one bead left here in the center. So that tells me that I'm to my very last little connection. So I'm going to pick up one 4mm, and I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to flip it over this way so I can do this a little easier. I'm coming out of this bead. This is the last bead I went through. I'm picking up one 4mm, and I'm going to bring my needle exactly opposite, and this is the first bead I threaded on, and I'm going to go up through that bead going towards the center. I'm going to go through the 3mm, the last 4mm, and then the 4mm I just added. So through the 3mm, I'm going to have to back out. Sometimes if you can't get through, you just back. There we go. Okay. Through the last 4mm, and then through the 4mm that I added. So that this is the top of my encasement. So you can see it's very domed. And now I'm going to flip it over because I'm going to start to work on the back. I'm going to thread on one 4mm, one size 11 seed bead, and one 4mm. I'm going to come back around through the same 4mm I'm coming out of so that it makes a circle. And I'm going to go right up through the first 4mm that I just added. I'm going to thread on 111 and one 4mm. I'm going to come to only 4mm I'm working with are these here on the outer edge. So I'm going to come to the next 4mm on the outer edge, and I'm going to come back through it so that my needle is going back towards the beadwork that I've already completed. Go up through the 4mm right where your thread's coming out, through the 11 and 4mm that you just added, then through the next 4mm in this little outer circle. And so when you pull that, your beadwork is going to start to lay over flat, and that's exactly what you want it to do. I'm going to pick up one 4mm and one size 11, and I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come down through the last 4mm that I added, which was a side 4mm. I'm going to continue through the 4mm on the base and then the 4mm here that I just added. Thread on 111 and one 4mm. I'm going to come to the next 4mm in the outer circle here, and I'm going to come back through that bead so that it's going back towards the beadwork I've already completed. I'll go up through the 4mm right here where the thread's coming out, through the 11 and the 4mm, and then through the next 4mm in my outer circle. At this point, if you want to, you can go ahead and put your Rivoli in. This is the front side of my Rivoli, and the foil is the back side. So I'm going to slide it inside the encasement so that I can see the back side or the foil. And this just helps you. Normally I don't put it in here this early, but if you're having a hard time, excuse me, seeing your outer beads here, this can really help you. So I'm coming out of the edge 4mm. So I'm going to pick up a 4mm and a size 11 seed bead. I'm going to come back down through the previous little side 4mm here. I'm going to go through the 4mm that I was coming out of on the base, and then up through the 4mm that I just added. Thread on 111 and 1 4mm. Take the needle and come back through the 4mm on the base, coming back towards your beadwork. Go up through the 4mm right where your thread's coming out, through the 11 and the 4mm that you just added, and then through the next 4mm in the outer circle. Thread on 1 4mm and 111. Take the needle, come back through the 4mm, this previous little side 4mm, through the outer 4mm, and then up through the 4mm that you just added. Now, if you look in the center, you have 7 size 11 seed beads. You need 8 of those. So you're going to pick up 1 size 11 seed bead. You're coming out of the 4mm here to the left. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come down through this 4mm to the right. And I'm going to pull that thread. Now right now this is not pulled together, but that's okay because we're going to do that. You want to go through the 4mm here to the left. This is the last 4mm that we've not went through on the base. And then up through the 4mm right where your thread's coming out. This helps pull these outer beads together. Now if you want to, you can take your needle and go through these 8 seed beads again, pulling them tight. When you do that, you are going to see your thread around in between your beads here. But that's completely okay because this is going to be on the back side. If you don't want that thread showing, you can always take and pick up an 11 and go through the next 11 all the way around. But you're basically going to, whichever way you decide, pull this tight, and then you want to exit any of these outer 4mm so that when you see it from the side, you're coming out of one of these outside 4mm. So I've stitched around the back, and as you can see the thread, but it's going to be on the back, so I really don't mind that. But again, you can take and put a little 15 or 11 between those beads if you want to. Right now I'm coming out of my side 4mm, and I'm coming out towards the right. Excuse me guys, I've had a horrible sign of allergies going on and I just can't get over it. You're only going to be using your 8mm at this point, and we're going to pick up 3. And I'm going to go back through that 4mm that I'm coming out of to make a circle. And you want to go through the 8mm right below where your thread's coming out. Pick up 2 8mm. I'm going to come to the next 4mm in this outer circle, and I'm going to come back through that bead so that my needle is coming towards the beadwork. I'm going to come down through the 8mm right where my needle is coming out, through the 2 new 8mm, and then through the next 4mm in the outer circle. Now, when you stitch this, it's going to feel like these 8mm are kind of floppy and they're too heavy, but that's completely okay because once we do the embellishments and then we put the 6mm between them on the outer edge, it's going to stiffen that up for you, so don't worry about that. I've got 2 8mm. I'm going to come back around to make a circle, so I'm going to go up through this little side 8mm and then through the same 4mm that I was just coming out of. Come down through the 8mm right where your thread's coming out. Pick up 2 8mm. Come to the next 8mm in the outer circle, and you're going to come back towards the beadwork. Come down through the 8mm right where your thread is exiting. Through the 2 new 8mm. And then through the next 4mm on the outer edge. So 2 8s. You're going to come back around to make the circle, so you'll go through the side 8mm, through the 4mm you were just coming out of, and then down through the 8mm right below where your thread is exiting. 2 8mm. Come back through the next 4mm, coming back towards the beadwork. So that now you'll come down through the 8mm right where your thread is exiting. Through the 2 new 8mm. And then through the next 4mm in the circle. So pick up 2. I want to make that circle, so I'm going to come up through the 8mm, the side 8mm, through the 4mm I was just coming out of, and then through the 8mm right below where my thread is exiting. So at this point, this is what you should have, and you should only have, one 8mm left in your stack. You're going to pick up that 1 8mm. You're coming out of the 8mm to the left, so I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come up through the 8mm to the right. So that finishes out the little beadwork there. And then I'm going to go through the 4mm, the 8mm, and then through the 8mm that I just added, and then this next inner 8mm. So I'm basically just going back through my circle again, pulling that tight. Now at this point, if you're a tight stitcher, your piece may already started to have that dome shape. If not, it'll lay more flat, and like I said, that's completely fine, because when you add all of this embellishment here and then you add these beads in between, it's really gonna give it that dome shape. Now you're ready for all these embellishments. So you're still coming out right here out of an inner, I'm going to refer to these as your inner 8mm, and then these on the outside as your outer 8mm. You're coming out towards the center, and you want to pick up 2 11s, 1 3mm, and 3 11s. So 2, 1, and 3. You're going to take the needle and you're going to come through the outer 8mm here to the, let's see, if you're coming out here, it'll be to your left. Pick up 3 11s, 1 3mm, and 2 11s. You're going to come to this very next inner 8mm, but you're going to come through the bead coming from inside, which is the center, to the outside, which is going to be the outer part of our ring. So that when you pull it, you get something that looks like this. Take the needle and go through the 3 11s and the 3mm that you just added. You want to pick up 1 3mm. You're going to take the needle and come down through the 3mm on the right. And I'm kind of, you see my finger there, I'm kind of holding it into place. And then you want 1 3mm, and you're going to go up through the 3mm to the left. And again, I'm going to put my finger on it so that it holds it into a position for me, so that it makes a little box of crystals. You're going to continue on through the 2 11s here on the left. And then through the 8mm that you're coming out right below it, you're going to go through from center to the outer edge. Now go through the outer 8mm here to the left, and then through the inner 8mm right where your thread's coming out, and you're going towards the center of the beadwork. So now you're going to pick up 2 11s, 1 3mm, and 3 11s. So 2, 1, and 3. Take your needle and you're going to work on this little box right here. So you finish this box, now we're working on this box. So I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go through the outer 8mm here. Then you want 3 11s, 1 3mm, and 2 11s. Take your needle, come through the 8mm here on the right side of the box, and come down through it so that you're going from the center to the outside. Go through the 3 11s and the 3mm that you just added. Now put my finger on it so it'll hold it down there nice and tight. You want 1 3mm, and you're going to take your needle and come down through this 3mm on the left. I'm going to put my finger there, and I'm going to pick up 1 3mm, and I'm going to go up through the 3mm on the right. So that it makes my next little box of beads. Continue through the 2 11s right where your needle's coming out, through the 8mm right here where the needle's coming out, and I'm going from the center to the outside, and then through the outer 8 and then the inner 8. So outer and then the inner. And now I'm ready to do my little box of crystals again. So I'm going with 2 11s, 1 3mm, and 3 11s. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come through the next 8mm. So I'm working on this little box of beads right here. Now you want 3 11s, a 3mm, and 2 11s. You're going to come to this bead, this inner 8mm, and you're going to go through it from the center to the outside. So you're coming down through that bead. Now take your needle and go through the 3 11s and the 3mm that you just added. Pick up 1 3mm. You're going to come down through the 3mm that's on the right. And then pick up 1 3mm, and you're going to come up through the 3mm here on the left. Continue on through the 2 11s. And then go through the inner 8mm here from center to outside. I'm going to do one more start over. I'm going to do one more of these boxes for you, and then I'm going to let you complete these boxes. Well, I am not where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to continue on through the 8mm here to the left, and then through the next inner 8mm. So as you can see, if you've noticed, one box that you do, you'll be starting on this side, and the next box that you do, you'll be starting on this side. So you start out with 2 11s, 1 3mm, and then 3 11s, and you're going to go through that outer 8mm. Now you want 3 11s, 1 3mm, and 2 11s. Come to this inner 8mm, and I'm going to come through it from the inside to the outside. And I'm going to continue on through the 3 11s and the 3mm that I just added. Pick up a 3mm, and you're going to come down through the 3mm here to the left, and then pick up a 3mm and come up through the 3mm on the right. Continue on through the next 2 11s, through the 8mm right where your thread's exiting, and you're going from the center to the outside, and then through the next 2 8mm. And you're going to continue. You've still got 1 2 3 4 more boxes of your crystals to add. Once you add the last embellishment box, this is what your piece should look like. I finished out by coming out of the 3mm here on the right side of this little box. So now you're actually going to start adding your Monti embellishments. And this is where you can use size 15 seed beads if you want. I'm going to continue to use my size 11s, but this is the optional where you can use size 15s. I'm going to pick up 1 11, 1 Monti, and 1 11. I'm coming out of the 4mm here on the right side of my box. I'm going to come to the next box, and I'm going to come up through this little side 3mm so that when I pull, my Monti will lay at a diagonal. These beads here lay at a diagonal. I want to make sure that color of my Monti is facing upward. I'm going to pick up 1 11 or 15, whichever one you want, and you're going to go through the other hole in the Monti. Put your finger on it and pull. Pick up 1 11, and you're going to go up through the 3mm that you started with, so that when you finish, it gives you that little X shape, and your Monti is connecting these 2 boxes. So I'm going to continue through the 11, the Monti, and the 11 that I added a minute ago. Put my finger on it as I pull. I'm going to go up through the left 3mm of this box, through this top 3mm, and then down through the right 3mm of this box. Pick up an 11 or 15, a Monti, and then your 11 or 15. I'm going to come to the next box, and I'm going to come down through that side 3mm so that it causes these beads to lay at a diagonal. Pick up 1 11. I'm going to go through the other hole of the Monti, so I'm going to put my finger on it and pull. And then pick up 1 11 and come back down through the 3mm so that it finishes out that X shape. Continue on through the 11, the Monti, and the 11. Put your finger on it as you pull, and then down through the 3mm, then through the bottom, and then up through the next one. 11, Monte 11. I'm going to come to this next little box here, and I'm going to come up through this bead so that when I pull the beads, the Monte is sitting at a diagonal. Pick up 111 and come through the Monte so that you're coming through the other hole so that it makes that X shape. Pick up 111 and I'm going to come up through this 3mm where my needle's coming out so that it finishes out that little Monte connection. Go through the 11, the Monte and the 11, up through the 3mm, through the top 3mm, and then down through the side 3mm. And you're going to continue adding these Monte embellishments until you've completely added them all the way around. Once you've gone all the way around with your embellishments, this is what your piece should look like. And you should still have one Monte left. I've stitched through my beadwork to exit any of the 8mm around the outer edges. You want to pick up one 6mm and you're going to go straight through the next 8mm. Pick up one 6 and go through the next 8. And you're going to do this all the way around. So once I go through that last 8, I'm then going to continue through the next 6mm and 8mm. And wiggle your way through it. There we go. So this is what your front looks like, and this is what the back should look like. I'm going to pick up 4 11s, a 4mm, and 4 11s. I'm going to come back through this same 8mm I was just coming out of so that it makes a circle. There we go. Continue through the 4 11s and the 4mm that you just added. Pick up 3 4mm and you're going to come back through the same 4mm to make a circle. And I'm going to go through those 4 beads again to reinforce them. You want to pick up 111, 1 Monte, and 111. And you're going to come through the 4mm opposite where your thread's coming out. Make sure that Monte is facing upward. Pick up 111, come through the other hole of the Monte, and then 111 and go back through the 4mm here at the bottom, so that it finishes out your little X shape. Continue on through 2 4mm. Thread on 3 4mm and come back through the 4mm you're coming out of to make a circle. And go through those 4 beads again. So we're going to reinforce that. Continue on through 2 more 4mm. Now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to pick up 4 11s, and my thread's coming out here to the right. So I'm going to go through the 8mm right below it here. The one it's already attached to. Now when you pull it, you want it to fold over just like this. And then pick up 4 11s, and you're going to come through the 4mm here again so that it finishes out the connection. So this is what your pendant looks like from the front and then from the back. And you'll reinforce this and tie the thread off. So here is my completed pendant, and what I did was I put it on a piece of hand-dyed silk ribbon because I am giving this as a gift and I wasn't sure about the sizing. But you can put this on anything. I specifically made the pendant because I didn't necessarily like the smaller piece on the halo necklace last week. So I made this bigger so that I could put it in the center of my halo set if you want to. You don't have to. This is totally just a want to. You can just make it to wear it like it is if you want to. A couple of things. We will have the black and brown kit, since that's what we've kind of had for everything else. We will have those kits for sale on our website, which is offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, as well as the pattern for sale. Now, if you just really like this turquoise and you want this turquoise, you can call us at our store, 828-245-0306, and we'll be happy to get you the materials together. Or you can shoot me an email at the address right here below me, and we will see what we can do about getting you some supplies together for the kit. Also, everybody always asks me about my jewelry. The earrings that I have on are just simple basic earrings. The pendant that I have on is a 27mm Rivoli with an encasement of super duos. This was a free picture tutorial that I found on Pinterest. So just super duo Rivoli, I don't know what to tell you about that one because it was just something I found. And then the bracelet that I have on is, gosh, I cannot remember the original designer's name, but Jill Wiseman did her version. It's called the Daydreamer. But now I actually used our brand new thread, which is the new stretch thread. Hang on one second. Let me go get that so I can show you. Okay, sorry about that. Here is the thread. Let me see if I can get it to zoom in correctly there. There we go. That's the name of the thread that I'm using. I'm not even going to try and tell you the name of it because I know that I will slaughter the name of it. Okay, there we are. But this is the thread that I used to make this bracelet. The reason being is because this is pretty much a pretty good size for my bangles, but it's made so that it will stretch just enough to allow you to roll it right over your hand. This stuff is fantastic. We have this available on our website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. It's $7.25 for a roll, but it has 110 yards on it. Right now, the only distributor for it is over in the Czech Republic, and this stuff sells like hotcakes right now because people have started using it here at the store, and they are loving it because it works really, really great for bangles. It's like a fire line, except for it's going to give you, when you pull that thread back, instead of just pulling and stopping, when you pull this thread back, you're going to get da-doing, da-doing, like it's going to give you some pop back. And when you first use it, it's going to take you a little while to get used to it. But once you use it and you see the little tiny bit of stretch that you get, it is awesome. Like, you will love it. So anyways, like I said, you can find all of the stuff that I showed you here today on our website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye.